Hey everyone, you're tuning in to Deeper Grooves, Musicians on Music, hosted by Cliff Beach and sponsored by California Soul Music record label. Today we're going to talk to Matt Reale from Soul Scratch, a great soul funk band based out of Los Angeles that's on the Colemine Records label. Very excited to have Matt on. Please help me welcome Matt Reale. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Cliff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
How's everything going during this time for you?
For me personally, it has been quite the challenge, as it's been for everybody else, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. But it feels like a lot of good days are ahead of us. Some good news is coming out.
It seems to just be rolling in one after another here. You know, I'm not sure. Where are you located?
I'm located in the Culver City area.
Oh, great. Are you from out here?
Originally, I am from D.C., but I lived out here for almost 18 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so for us LA natives, I'm not sure if you were a sports fan, but going down the line with the Lakers and then the Dodgers, and now the most recent win for some of us, it has been very exciting here in this town, at least.
Yeah, that is very exciting to be able to have so many things. I was so confused. I don't really follow sports, but I was confused that it felt like they were all happening so close together. I thought they're normally spread out, so I guess because of delays with the seasons, they're different this year.
Yeah, mainly with basketball was the big change. The Dodgers were the baseball season was relatively on schedule with a shortened schedule, but they finished up roughly around when they normally end. But anyway, it's been good. Before that, it was a big challenge for me and my family, just dealing with all of the with everything having to do with the quarantine and my boy, having to be at home and starting school recently. It's been an interesting challenge, and work has been fun. We've been open since the beginning at my work, and I actually was put in charge of all of our COVID safety protocols and procedures. So that was quite the challenge to keep everybody safe, both our staff and then our clients. I work in the post-production sound industry.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody is adapting to change, which we have to anyway, but definitely unexpected, unprecedented times.
Crazy indeed.
But very excited to be able to talk to you. So I'm very excited because of all the changes happening in America. I wanted to dig into it with your group and talk about the latest 45 that you guys have out on Colemine Records, America, with the B-side, We All Bleed the Same.
Yeah.
So how has what's been happening in the world kind of shaped the music for you guys for Soul Scratch as of late?
Well, we've been working on this message for quite some time in the band, and it's amazing to see everything play out the way it's been playing out, and it feels at times that we kind of saw some of this coming early on, and we need to get our voice out there to not only spread our message, but also try and show others that we're all in this together, and that if we can come together around certain things like music, which is a huge healer for a lot of people and can help with so many emotions, that we felt like we needed to be there and get that message out and support everybody in the fight for justice and equality.
And so as you kind of do break down the process, I guess, like, how are these songs created? How are they written? How do they come together? We know that you're the horn player for the band and do the arrangements for the band. So, like, how does it all fit together, the pieces of the puzzle?
Well, I luckily get to come in at the end and kind of act as a bit of cherry on top. For a long time, our main process really comes down to Joel and Dale, and then Johnny. Joel is the guitar player, Dale being the lead singer, of course, and then Johnny is the bass player. It usually starts typically with Joel and Dale kind of collaborating and working on bits and pieces that Joel has for ideas of a song, and then it kind of just evolves from there. Dale picks something that he likes and that sparks him, and he begins to write a story to it, whether it's just an idea that blossoms, or he has some lyrics or a melody idea. And then they'll bring it to Johnny, or Johnny sometimes has, ideas at the beginning as well. And that little trio kind of works together to kind of form the mold and the foundation of one of our songs, especially from the lyrical standpoint of one of our actual songs with lyrics instead of our instrumentals. And so from there, they either flush things out and kind of create what looks like a whole picture of a song, or they have bits and pieces of it and they bring it to the rest of us to kind of help shape it and form it and make it the Soul Scratch sound that we all know and love. So after the writing process, it usually goes then to sometimes just a rhythm section rehearsal where Adam Greenberg, the drummer, will be added on, and then that'll help kind of form the feel and the groove of the song. And then the horns come in. We kind of hear what's going on, and sometimes we'll add ideas for an intro and shape some of the patterns within the song. Maybe a verse should go here, or a chorus goes there, and then maybe we put a horn break in. So we start to kind of form what is then the final equation for that tune, and then we go from there. Lately, one of the things that I've been trying to focus on for the past couple years, especially with Dale, is working more with his ideas of what the song is about and really listening to the lyrics. And I try and use that for my portion of the song to kind of drive and help whatever the idea is. I'm really big fan of the hook in music in general, whether it be, the soul music that we do, or pop or jazz, or anything that gives you that hook that catches people in and gives them the memory as they go on throughout their day after they've heard the song. And so I like to focus my attention on finding what my hook can do to help sell the song and kind of feed into the idea of what is being sung, just not coming up with lines and notes and things like that. I want to mold our sound and kind of help drive the story.
Excellent. And so as we kind of piggyback on that, let's talk a little bit more about how you guys came together. Seems like it's a very layered fashion. Started with predominantly the rhythm section with Johnny, Joel, and Adam. And then I believe they had another singer at some point. But then Dale is a transplant from the East Coast, if I believe my information is correct. And so he saw a show, liked the band. They were looking for a singer at the time. He got it in as a real crucial member to the group. And then at some point, somewhere in there, I think you maybe predate Dave as the horn player and horn arranger. So could you, from your perspective, kind of explain your Wizard of Oz, Dorothy picking up the Scarecrow, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion? How did you guys all kind of form in that organic sense as what is known today as Soul Scratch?
Well, I joined the band about 6 months into the band as it was as Soul Scratch. And I happened to know somebody, actually my wife now, but at the time she was not my wife, who was related to the lead singer at the time. She said, "Hey, why don't you come check out this band playing? It's my cousin's band. I have friends in the band as well. Come check them out." And of course I was pursuing her at the time. So I said, "Sure, of course." And obviously being a musician and into the genre and everything, that piqued my interest as well. So I then saw this band, and yes, it was Johnny, Joel, and Adam, who are in the band now, plus our previous lead singer and another guitar player and another horn player. It was just a saxophone player at the time. And so I was into the sound and into what they were doing, and they were figuring themselves out at the time because, like I said, they're only 6 months young. And I happened to go to the restroom, and I was standing next to the guitar player that's not in the band anymore. As dudes do sometimes in the bathroom, we struck up a conversation and we talked about music. And as we were washing our hands, I told him I was a trumpet player, and he said, "Well, we're looking for a trumpet player. You should come in and sit in with the band." And so I did, and I never left. So that was my little genesis with the band. But we were that group for a bit. We lost that guitar player. Then we lost the singer and the horn player. We moved on from that original configuration. And Dale happened to be a bouncer at a place called Cozy's. Not a bouncer, but a doorman. Not so much of a security force, really. But he was the doorman at this great blues bar on Ventura Boulevard in the Valley here called Cozy's. It was a legendary blues venue in Los Angeles. Been here for quite a long time. And he actually saw us then for the first time, and we had no idea. He was just a door guy. We said, "Hey," as we were bringing our stuff in, and we played our show and we left. And later on, we were working with a guy who was acting as our manager for a bit, and he kind of officially introduced us to Dale. And Dale was doing kind of a one-man guitar singer songwriter show for a while at different clubs, and so he jumped in on one of our shows. We need somebody to open up for us, so we were playing this bar here in the Valley, and he hopped on, and we were all kind of into him and into what he was doing. He sounded great. Obviously, the guy's got a killer voice and a ton of personality. So that was our first meeting with him. And then as we moved on to a new chapter in our life as a band, we needed somebody new in that front person spot. So we looked around for a bit. We auditioned some folks. Dale was one of them, and we were reminded of what we saw originally with him and what we liked. So we said, let's take a chance. Let's do it. Let's see how it goes. And that was it. That we never looked back.
Well, that definitely comes full circle, but it's interesting how every group has a way of doing that. I personally cannot stand those awkward urinal conversations that struck up. Now, you were saying that your wife is related to the ex-lead singer. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Interesting. So that person is still around in some capacity. You still interact with them in some way or see them.
Of course, yeah.
Excellent.
We've all moved on from that time, but yeah, she was a killer singer too. We have that's some of our older stuff. I don't even know where you can find it. It was fun back then, but certainly, we really caught our stride and our sound when Dale came on, and we really started becoming who we truly, were meant to be moving forward with him. He's been a huge catalyst to where we are.
Great. So let's talk about the actual sound. So Soul Scratch, according to your website, says it's founded on and rooted in the principle that through the healing power of music, the world may be into a joyous, loving place where all of humanity can come together under the umbrella of love and togetherness. How does that come to play in your horn arrangements and your playing? Like, that's very philosophical, but what does that mean to you? Like, how do you break that down to a new listener that we want to get into streaming your stuff, getting your vinyls? Like, who is Soul Scratch? What is Soul Scratch at its core?
Well, we really just want to take what we're doing, what we're feeling in our music and in our writing process and in our minds, what comes together and shoots out of us as our music. We just want to, give that to the world, have everybody enjoy it, dance, sometimes listen and cry sometimes, and then just listen and feel love. We had long ago in one of our first albums, there was a song that was kind of a romantic ballad. And we had some old fans that were coming to show after show, and they finally told us that they were expecting their first child, and it was actually spawned from listening to our record and that song in particular. And it was a great moment when we played it and they were dancing and they told us that story. And things like that really get us going. We really want to interact with our fans in that manner, just like giving them this art, and whether it's rooted in love, or just sometimes there's a bit of aggression, but just all of those feelings we want to share with our fan base. And it's important to us that we all, understand what music can do to the world. I mean, what it does to the brain, and brain patterning that people have watched over study after study, showing that the mind just goes nuts with music, whether you're listening to it, and then especially when you're playing it. So that relationship with the people that we play for and to, and the music that we create, put out on the different platforms, whether it's vinyl and the differences between that and the digital version, and all of it it's a fun exploration. It's one of the best parts about being with Colemine and having that vinyl world and all the people that love it so much. There's this awesome community out there that we all get to just be a part of, and it's just a lot of fun and exciting.
Yes, and I wanted to follow up with that. So how did you actually come to be part of the Colemine family? There's so many great records coming out of there. They're really just kind of a catalyst for the soul idiom. I mean, I could just name a bunch of names, but I know that, Orgone, and I've spoken with people on the podcast from Surefire Soul Ensemble, and, just a bunch of the crew there, and everyone's so ingratiated together and so nice and warm, and which I would expect through soul music and baby making music, as you guys are creating. And so how did you guys come to work with Terry and the Cole brothers and Colemine?
Well, we were working on an album, and we had most of it, flushed out, and we recorded it ourselves, and we needed to find, a new home for, distribution and support. We worked with some friends here in the Valley for a long time that run a great record label, hip hop label especially, called Broken Complex. And we felt like we needed to find maybe try out a new home. So we put the reach out there into the world to find that help and that support, and especially from a company that really knew the genre and knew the world that we were getting into. And Colemine, they were at the top of our list. We really wanted to work with them. We definitely knew who they were because of artists that we already knew, of course, friends of ours that are on the label. And so they were, like applying for colleges. They were the college that we most wanted to go to, and they liked what we were doing. They liked the album, where it was going, and they wanted us to be a part. And so we certainly, didn't even think twice when they wanted to take us into the family. And so we joined in right away, and then we put out Pushing Fire, which was our album at the time. And they've been great. I mean, Terry is amazing, and the whole Colemine family, they're awesome. They've supported us in a lot of different ways over the years, and with a lot of great feedback, and not only, musically, they help us and let us know, hey, this is you guys are going down the right direction here. Or sometimes they're blunt and candid enough to say, hey, this is maybe, you should try something different, and give us some critiques, which is great. And then one of my favorite parts about that bunch is the visual representation of our stuff is great. They do a really awesome job with the label artwork and the design of everything and how it's marketed and presented. And it's been awesome. And then they helped out a lot too with getting a company that handles all of our licensing and such too, which has been awesome. That's the kind of stuff that we don't really want to deal with as artists. We just want to focus on creating the music and focusing on that and our performances and whatnot. And not having to deal with this kind of stuff is great, because we can just kind of sit back and let it go and just put our music out there, which is, really, it takes that distraction away from it all.
Definitely. I mean, that's what record labels are for. You pass it over to them, and then you are the artist creating, and then they can take care of the business so that you have more energy and more time to create. So as we speak about the band, let's know about the man. What is your musical origin? How did you come into music, into soul music? How did you start playing horn? What different types of horns do you play? Like, what's your personal origin story?
Well, I come from a couple of artists. My dad was an actor, and my mom was a bass player, like a stand-up classical bass player. I grew up around music. I was in her belly when she was playing in orchestras, specifically the Pasadena Symphony here in Pasadena, California. And she worked at the USC School of Music for most of my formative years. So I was just in and around that world pretty heavily. And then, I picked up different instruments, when I was a kid, but didn't really focus on anything until I was about 11 or 12. I started playing the trumpet. I just kind of fell into it. Funny enough, I first wanted to be a drummer. And then a saxophone player, but in middle school band, sometimes those things get snatched up in some sort of order, and I think that's what happened, if I remember correctly. And I just kind of fell into trumpet, and I was like, oh, okay, well, sure. And then it just stuck, and I liked it, and I fell in love with it. And I was fortunate enough to go to a really great high school here in Los Angeles called the Hamilton High School. It has a magnet program, and so the official name was the Hamilton Academy of Music, it's a public high school with a public magnet program. So it was really, it was diverse and an awesome setting for kids to really learn and grow their musical talents. And it's one of the best programs on the West Coast for sure. I mean, at certain points of its life, it was the best musical high school in most of the country, if not definitely the West Coast, which is west of the Mississippi, as it were. So, it's a great program. They had 3 different levels of jazz big bands, full symphony orchestra, wind ensembles, multiple choirs, huge musical theater program. So it was a really great place to flourish and learn. At one point in time, I was in 9 performing ensembles in high school, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot of work and a lot of learning, but at the highest caliber. And then I chose to take my trumpet talents to Michigan and went to Western Michigan University to study jazz performance. And then came home, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I ended up falling into, like I said earlier, doing post-production audio at a young age. And that kind of turned into my career, but kept music as a passion. And luckily in that world, everybody's, a former musician or current musician or, recording engineer or something like that in the same realm. So it's kind of the same type of people, which was nice that I wasn't doing something completely different. And just kept playing and, doing certain gigs here and there with certain different bands, playing musicals, other, kind of JOB music stuff at times. And then eventually, found myself 10 years ago with Soul Scratch and the guys in the band. And that's been my musical focus for the past 10 years. I do little things here and there with bands and artists in LA and elsewhere from time to time. Most of my musical attention is put towards Soul Scratch at this point.
Excellent. And so as we talk about Soul Scratch moving towards the future, you have a few 45s that are out and your full-length LP, which did really well. And so what's next musically for you guys?
Well, we have been working on a record for a little bit now. You got to hear some of that from that 45 with America, and we all believe the same. That's some of the stuff that's going to be on this record. Yeah, and we've got 2 new tracks that we're working on getting finalized with Colemine to do another 45 of stuff that's going to be on this record, and then we want to put this record out. It's kind of been a long time coming. Certainly, COVID didn't help at all with us trying to progress and get this album finished. We had recording dates set aside in April, which we obviously couldn't do because that was the height of the quarantine, the stay-at-home orders. So we had to push that off. And frankly, from a financial standpoint, unfortunately, things have been rough because there's no gigs out there, and that's where we make a lot of our bread and butter, is playing out in different venues all over, certainly the West Coast. So that's been a challenge, but all we're doing now is just we're getting back to it, and we're focusing as we're feeling more comfortable. About kind of we put all of ourselves in our own bubbles, and started rehearsing again and finalizing the little bits and pieces that we needed to get this album written. Once we are ready to go, we are poised to pull the trigger and get in there and finish this thing. And it's a lot of great tunes that we've been working on for quite some time, and we want to one of the big focuses right now is coming up with some new material for who we are now, because we felt like some of the stuff that we had ready to go for this record were from a different time in who we are. So we're really focusing right now on coming up with some new stuff to add to this record. And then once, like I said, we're ready, we're going to get in there and knock it out, because we are ready to go. We all of us are getting pretty antsy at getting the next big one out there.
We definitely feel you there, and definitely miss connecting with the fans and people live. And so waiting to see the world as it reopens up. But in the meantime, in the past, your band has collaborated with groups. I saw on Spotify that you guys had worked with an artist, Gavelin, in the past. Do you see more collaborations in the future as well? Or is there anyone you haven't worked with that you would like to? I know that Colemine sometimes likes to have their artists collaborate together. So we're just wondering if there might be some kind of super group collaboration in the future.
We always love collaborating. It's one of the coolest things about music as a whole, whether you're a single, solo artist or a band like ours that's bringing in different people, as we've done over the years, brought in different people to play on the record. There's a core group of us, which is the 5 guys that we've been talking about, plus Ian Anderson, who's our great saxophone player we've had for many years at this point. And then, we bring on other folks to play, different instruments on the record. And so, that's something that we will continue to do, certainly. We had that one off with Gavelin. She's an artist on that, our former label, Broken Complex, that I mentioned earlier. She's a great rapper. And that was a lot of fun working with DJ Hoppa, who's the head of that label and their main producer and DJ. He's awesome. And so that track came our way, and we had a lot of fun putting it together with Gavelin. Yeah, we love collaborating. We love playing shows with other bands. Obviously, you've mentioned some of them before, playing with the guys from Argonne or Surefire, all of those groups that are here. We did a show back in the day with Duran and his band, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, we love working with Colemine artists 100%, especially doing shows with them. That's a lot of fun. Playing together is great too, but being able to put both bands together or multiple bands in a show is always so fun. We love doing that because we're big fans of these groups. So, we get to, get the VIP treatment of not only getting to see them play and then hanging out with them. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to hopefully in the next year, 2021, hopefully we get back out to some live shows and start to see that, or maybe some online content where people are able to collaborate in the meantime. So we have two rapid fire questions that we ask all the guests on Deeper Grooves podcast as we start to wrap up. And the first one is, what advice would you give a kid starting out in music today?
Practice. Always practice, 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 and take things slowly. Don't play things fast. You got to play things slowly at first to get better, but it's all about practicing.
Excellent. I think that rings true with almost anyone that comes on. Practice and deliberate practice. The type of practice is very important.
Very important. Yep.
And then the last question that I have for you, Matt, today is, what do you want your musical legacy to be? And I know that could be a question that's better in the future, but when it's all said and done, when it's time to put up the horn or what have you, what do you want to be remembered for most?
From my personal standpoint, I just want to be remembered as somebody that put it all out there and gave every bit of who I am as an artist to whatever project that I'm doing personally. As it relates to Soul Scratch, what we always love is getting out there and playing big shows with our fans and seeing everybody really get into it and love everything we're doing and believe in the things that we're saying, whether, again, it comes down to something about love or something about frustration and aggression, and just seeing that in our crowds and passing that along and then having it web out into the world, of whether they just share that feeling and those emotions or they share our music. I really want everybody out there to just think of us as a bunch of musicians and artists who came together to give everybody a good time and to, really get them to think about the world and kind of impart a little bit of ourselves onto them as best we can.
Excellent. Definitely well said. And I think you're well on your way to doing that. It's something that you live out every day in your music and what you do. And it definitely comes out in your playing, and you can hear it in the records as well. So we look super forward to you guys having more music out this next 45 and then what have you, as we continue to progress into the new year with new opportunities and new blood, coming into our establishment. And so we're just very excited for you guys and super excited that we were able to get you on the podcast to chat with you, as we always learn about the process. Everyone's process is different. Your band and you as a musician are no different. So I just want to say thank you again for coming on. We'll circle back to you guys when this is all ready to go and out for season 3, so that you guys can hear it and we can post it up and other people can hear it as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity for us. And you definitely, you're going to hear a lot from Soul Scratch moving into 2021. That's going to be, that's the return.
Excellent, Matt. Well, we look forward to it, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks again for tuning in once again to Deeper Grooves, Musicians on Music, hosted by Cliff Beach and sponsored by California Soul Music Record Label. I had so much fun chatting with Soul Scratch and their horn arranger, Matt Reale, about their latest 45, America, We All Bleed the Same, that's out on Colemine Records. You should go definitely check it out on vinyl or online, streaming now. I would like to thank our engineer, Tim Hall, and 1192 Studios for mixing and mastering this recording today. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, you can check us out online at californiasoulmusic.com/Deeper Grooves or anchor.fm/Deeper Grooves. Until then, take care. We'll talk to you soon.